Well, hello everyone. Thank you all for joining us today for our May AMA. We're actually a month away from summer officially starting here in the United States, but it's already steaming hot where I'm from. And I'm excited for all the building that's happening in Hideera and also the back-end development that we're doing at SaucerSwap. So thank you for all the questions, and we're going to make this an awesome AMA. So without further ado, let's get this started. Off to you, Peter.
Hey everyone, yeah, thanks for being here. I think this will actually be a pretty good AMA, despite some of the questions that we got. So I do want to just start by acknowledging something up front. It's been a tough stretch for, I think, Hideera DeFi. We've seen the frustration, we've seen the price action, we've seen the questions. Honestly, a lot of it is fair. So what matters now and what I want to focus on this AMA is how we respond. So today we'll keep things grounded, give you some real updates, and limit any kind of hype or anything like that. So first, on the mobile app, we will be sharing some wireframes live during this AMA to give you a look at what we've been building. It's coming along well, and I think the screenshots will offer a lot to chew on. And second, we've heard the community loud and clear about the token, sauce token utility, especially around partial burns and protocol owned liquidity. There's been some really good conversations in Discord. So to move that conversation forward, SaucerSwap Labs has drafted a tokenomics proposal that introduces both features. It's not official yet. We're doing a final compliance check now, but assuming it passes, and I think it will, we'll publish it on the governance forum as a request for comment. I will just note that this could have come from anyone. That's how our DAO is set up. But I think there's been a little bit of friction getting it into the governance process for one reason or another. So for just to help it move forward, we did draft this, and we'll open it up for structured feedback from the DAO. So a few things coming up this AMA. Mobile wireframe screenshots will be showing a teaser of the UI for the upcoming website. As you probably saw on our social media, we've started the rebrand already. And we'll also have the tokenomics proposal.
Thanks for that, Peter. So let's start off with the first question from Anan. What's the time frame for the website, mobile app, and limit orders?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So let's get straight into it. So for the website, the design for the new site is complete. We're in development. And I want to note this is not a facelift. We're refactoring the entire website code base, and that should do wonders for performance and overall UX. And that's what we're focused on. We don't want to just like reskin the site. I think that's not aligned with our goals. Right now we have 2 front-end and 2 back-end developers dedicated just to the website. And that is in addition to our back-end team who are building out new product-focused endpoints for the website. So we're throwing a lot of development resources at the website, and that's needed to actually make the front end as dynamic and functional as everyone expects. That will take time, and the honest answer is we're looking at around 8 more weeks from today to finish the development. Then we'll move into internal QA and deployment. So it is behind the original May estimate, but we, again, don't want to cut corners. We want to build a product that we think can stand beside something like Jupyter on Solana in terms of UX quality. So that's just the honest answer for what we're looking at in terms of timeline. For the mobile app is being built in parallel, so we don't have to wait for one of those development tracks to finish before doing the mobile app. We are working on both concurrently, and that will follow a very similar timeline. They may launch around the same time. Right now, our estimates are very similar for both. So here, I will drop some wireframes in the general chat now. You can see what we're working on for the mobile app. So just give me one moment. Okay. And yeah, maybe Noob or Pineapple can just do like an at here or at everyone there to draw some attention to it. So those are direct screenshots from the beta mobile application. They're not design screenshots in Figma or anything like that. That is in development. You'll notice it includes a wallet component because that is required for a truly native mobile DEX experience. So please note it's not the final design. It is a wireframe to nail down the flows in development, but it is running on testnet. It will look awesome once we finish the design. Right now, we're just focusing on the flows and development, and the design will be consistent with the new website when it's launched. And just note, this is on testnet. It's the data there is not reflective or predictive of anything. It's just just for testing. So the app will be DEX first, but it will also function as a wallet. So SaucerSwap Mobile will include a SaucerSwap wallet, and that is essential to the onboarding experience, as well as the Apple App Store requirements. So we're not just wrapping the website into an app, we're building something from the ground up. I am personally extremely excited about this mobile app. I hope you guys like it, and we'll have more to share soon. Moving on to limit orders. So the limit orders are absolutely a top priority. They are not coming first, and we talked about this before. The reason is pretty simple. We're prioritizing the split router first for smart contract development. And the thinking behind this is that the split router immediately and directly improves capital efficiency and execution quality. And by doing that, limit orders will be able to offer better execution. So in our mind, it makes more sense to do the split router first, especially with potentially redundant assets from multiple bridges coming to Hideera. We don't want to run into liquidity fragmentation. So here's the current pipeline. ERC20 integration is complete. We've already shared the interface with some community members for testing. We're waiting on final confirmation from the Hideera Foundation that all required functionality is included in the ERC20 wrapper contract. And once we get that, which we expect will be early next week, we'll submit for audit. Our smart contract developer has started work on the split router, and the timeline for that, we are expecting that development to take 4 to 6 weeks to complete the smart contract work on the split router. There's not too much front end work with the split router. It's mostly just smart contract work, so I don't anticipate that taking too much longer after the smart contract work. So again, that's looking at something like 4 to 6 weeks. And then once the split router is live, we'll begin full development on the limit orders, the smart contract work for the limit orders. That one also requires backend development, and actually like pretty substantial backend development. There's a lot of off-chain work that has to happen. So we will be building that architecture before this smart contract work begins. So as the split router work is happening, our backend engineers will work on product-oriented endpoints for the website design and the new website and the mobile app, and then we'll start on the backend architecture for limit orders. So hopefully that all makes sense. We technically could ship limit orders earlier, before the split router, but I really do think that the split router makes the most sense especially as I mentioned, multiple bridges potentially coming online at the same time with Layer 0 and Axelr, all supporting redundant assets on Hideera. So that is the timeline and kind of the list of priorities.
Awesome sauce, Peter. Another question I have is from Anan. What additions or modifications to the original plan postponed the May release? When can we expect a facelift for the SaucerSwap website and app? And I think you touched on that a few minutes ago.
I did, yeah. I guess I'll just go a little bit deeper on kind of like what happened. Our May estimate was based on the assumption that the redesign would be more visual than it has turned out to be. So kind of just like a new front end layer on top of the existing logic. But as we got further into the actual development, it became clear that the right move was a more substantial update, full code base refactor. And what we want, I guess, what we don't want is to just like reskin the website and then have it feel the same and just kind of be a superficial update. We want it to feel faster. We want it to feel more reliable and just like a better UX, not just a better UI. So it wasn't like scope creep. It was a deliberate decision to build on the foundation so that we can scale. So yeah, I think I answered about the timeline. So that's the answer.
Cool. Thanks for that explanation. So sneak peek of the new website.
Cool. Yeah. Let's drop another screenshot here. So we've been cautious about sharing incomplete visuals too early, but I do think it's worth giving a preview given that there is a delay. So let me drop a snapshot from the new explore page of the upcoming site redesign. So just give me one moment here. Cool. Yeah, and maybe Noob or Pineapple can do the same here with just drawing attention to that one. So you will see from this screenshot, it's not a reskin. It's a full re-architecture of the interface with new features to support faster, deeper integration with Hideera DeFi. So this is the new explore page. Again, this is testnet data. So, we're it's not predictive or reflective of anything. But we're not overpromising any timelines here. We're still about 8 weeks from code completion and launch, but I think this UI will really elevate the whole SaucerSwap experience. So I'm really excited about it. Hope you guys like it. Oh, and just to answer the question that came in the general chat about the mini buys, that's configurable. Yeah, you could set that to whatever you want. And you can also set any token that you would like to use for mini buy. So if you'd prefer to do that in HBAR or USDC, that's all configurable and super easy to set up. So yeah, should be a good quality of life improvement.
Wow, thanks for the preview, Peter. This stuff really slays. It is fire. I'm super stoked for this. Switching gears a little bit to the mobile app. Will the mobile app have notifications enabled? For example, when token prices go up or down a certain percentage, or when our V2 position go outside the range?
Yeah, definitely something that is in scope. Like price alerts, range position triggers, general app level notifications. It won't be included in version 1.0, but we are building with that extensibility in mind. So we want to just nail the DEX and wallet functionality first, and then we'll layer on kind of higher order features like notifications. And just a general note on this one, we have we have like 12 or so features in a Notion page for stuff that we want to add after version 1.0. So it kind of feels similar to, after our initial launch in 2022, we had like all this stuff that we wanted to do. it's going to come down to community feedback. So once we launch the app, we'll just listen to you guys and see what you want next, and that's how we'll determine the priority.
Next one is from Anan, and this is more geared towards prices. So they're saying sauce and HBAR price on May 31st, 2024 was about 9 cents. 1 year later, HBAR has doubled while sauce cratered. Do any metrics show improvement?
Yeah, I mean, there's no argument here. HBAR is up, sauce is not. That's not lost on us. There's no sugarcoating, the market. We're not going to pretend, this is a good thing. But what is true is that we don't control the price, we control the product. And that's where every minute of our focus is going. So we are tracking internal metrics that actually matter for our long-term value. Some of the things that this question asked, if any metrics show improvement. The answer is yes. Our swap volume has increased materially over the long term. I mean, if you zoom out, it's clearly on an uptrend, and that is our main KPI. Our staking participation is still sticky. It's not just like mercenary farming. We have actual users engaged with the platform, and that's great. And not a quantitative metric, but kind of just more about the product. It's evolving fast, and we have multiple different developments happening. So our ERC20 support is in testing and will be submitted for audit. Split routing and limit orders are next, and both the website and mobile app are in full development. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted. I did see one comment about putting the website development before limit orders. Just a question about that in the general chat. That's not true. We are doing both. We have multiple concurrent development tracks. So it's not like we're prioritizing. I think like the idea is that we're prioritizing a facelift of the website over like core functionality. That's not the case. We're doing both. And I think we have like 4 different development tracks that are happening simultaneously right now. So just wanted to clear that up. And yeah, I think that answers the question about the metrics.
Awesome. Lots and lots of buildings in the background. Like this year is so bullish for me. I'm so excited to be on this team. Anonymous, another question from Anonymous. So what exchanges is SaucerSwap aiming to get listed on? Any insights on that?
Yes. So this is one of those questions where I want to be fully transparent, even if the answer isn't what everyone wants to hear. We are not aiming to get listed. We're also not throwing $500,000 at a tier 1 exchange just because people expect it. That's the truth of how a lot of these listings work. There are backdoors. You don't necessarily need traction or metrics. You just need money and a token allocation you're willing to dump. That's honestly how most of these meme coins like on Solana are getting listed so fast. They'll, launch their project and then get listed immediately. It's because they carve out, a significant portion of the supply and pay for access and get listed. And look, I mean, that does work for some projects. I'm not pretending it doesn't, but that's not what we're building. We're not a meme token project. We're a product which has a protocol token, and every part of SaucerSwap's value loop is built around the product. So when we look at budget decisions, it's not theoretical. If we spend, $300,000 on a listing, that's $300,000 we're not spending on engineering, infrastructure, design, improving the product, the UI and UX, and building more features. And I'll be real with you. To me, it's a no-brainer trade-off to invest in building the product rather than a billboard. That doesn't mean we're anti-centralized exchange by any measure at all. We do see the value in increased exposure and accessibility. There is a place for centralized exchange listings, especially when they're strategic. For example, we've seen significant traction with Spanish-speaking users, and we're actively exploring regional exchanges that align with where our user base is actually growing. So that's the kind of listing that makes sense to me. Targeted, surgical, long-term, maintainable, and aligned with our growth. Just the idea that the next step is a tier 1 listing or we're dead, I'll just say it, that's wrong. That's the fastest way to burn a treasury and end up with nothing to show for it. So we're going to keep building. Listings will happen. And when they do, they'll be aligned with growth, not forced for optics. And by the way, just another, there's a great discussion happening in the general chat just about the wallet, Golden Bull Run. It's required to launch something. Like if you look at any DEX product on the App Store, you need the wallet. So it's not like a question of whether we can or can't do it. If you want a DEX mobile app, you just need to create your own wallet. So that's why.
All right, thanks for that clarification on central exchange listings. And on a similar note, Anan was wondering, why did we lose BitGet? Did they return the listing fee? And they actually went and contacted BitGet on X about the delisting. And BitGet said it was due to volume. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this was incredibly frustrating for us too. We did everything we could behind the scenes to stop it. So here's what happened. BitGet gave us a set of KPIs we supposedly needed to hit to remain listed. Some of them were fair. There were things like trading volume, and look, every exchange has KPIs for trading volume. So that was not like news to us. It was not a surprise, and we always hit those KPIs. Others were honestly completely unattainable, like mathematically unattainable. They were bordering on our arbitrary. And then some of the KPIs were clearly structured around price performance, and that's not something we're going to try to engineer. So despite our best efforts, I personally reached out to the COO, the CEO, the head of business development. Our team was interfacing with people from the post listings team, the listings team. Despite all of that, they decided to move forward with the delisting, and they would not reverse that decision under any circumstance. And no, the listing fee was not refunded. They just kept that. For what it's worth, this also happens to Hashpack. They were delisted shortly after they were initially listed. And we've since learned that BitGet has a history of doing this to other projects. I'll just mention, and I'm not insinuating anything, but there are lawsuits pending related to their delisting practices. And just backing up, this is part of the reason we're cautious about centralized exchange listings. They're really expensive if you want to get listed on, like the top 20. They're minimum $100,000. I mean, most of them are a lot more than that. And they come with contracts that just give the exchange full power to delist you at any time for any reason, and there's no recourse. And if that sounds completely misaligned with the ethos of decentralization, it is. It's completely misaligned. And yeah, that's what happened with BitGet. It's really unfortunate. We tried our best. We wish it hadn't happened, but it did. And we genuinely did everything we could to prevent it.
Thanks for that explanation, Peter. Yeah, on the subject of listing, Anan is also asking if Sauce doesn't get listed on any major exchanges by the end of 2025, would you consider this year a failure?
It's a bit of a false, no, I would not. If we're building real product value, I would flip the question. I would consider 2025 a failure if we did get listed on a major exchange but didn't deliver anything on the product. Obviously, both of those things can happen. I'm not saying we have to choose one or the other. But I mean, if we did get listed and didn't build anything for the product, it's not just a failure. It would be putting the long-term health of the project at risk. That's, it's kind of a false dichotomy to think we have to choose between one or the other. We don't. We can and eventually will do both. But there is a choice when it comes to priorities. I've already shared my view around capital allocation and priorities. So again, we're focusing on the product. Listings will happen, but yeah, I think I've said enough on the matter. They both will happen, but I would not see it as a failure if we didn't have a tier 1 exchange happen in the next month or two, or whatever the question was.
Thanks for that, Peter. Switching gears a little bit about ERC20. So Anan's wondering, does ERC20 support mean they can swap their Ethereum tokens on SaucerSwap? Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on that, please?
Yes. Yeah, there's some confusion around this. It's a good question. The short answer is no. That's not what ERC20, the ERC20 wrapper offers in terms of functionality. So the ERC20 support on SaucerSwap means that tokens on Hideera using the ERC20 interface, not tokens still sitting on Ethereum or any other network, will now interact natively with our smart contracts, which deal with HTS. Excuse me. So if you're holding an ERC20 token on another chain, you'll still need to bridge it to Hideera first. That's where things get a bit more nuanced. Different bridges handle this differently. So Hashport, when you bridge over an ERC20 token from another network, it comes to Hideera as HTS. It means you don't need an additional wrapper. The token just works on SaucerSwap. Axelr is also set up in this way. So bridging other tokens from other networks to Hideera, token comes over as HTS, so it makes everything pretty easy. But Layer 0, on the other hand, preserves the ERC20 interface when bridging. So if someone bridges an ERC20 token, like, XYZ token from another chain to Hideera via Layer 0, it'll arrive as an ERC20 token on Hideera. And that's where our ERC20 wrapper comes in. That's one of the use cases. You can also launch a native ERC20 token on Hideera if you choose to do so. But the main thing is interoperability. So the wrapper acts as a compatibility layer. It takes that ERC20 token and it exposes it to the SaucerSwap contracts as HTS. So you can swap between ERC20 and HTS, HTS to HTS, ERC20 to ERC20. All of those different configurations behind the scenes. So it'll function similar to wrapped HBAR, where users don't need to manually wrap and unwrap. It just happens and built into the UI. So it'll be seamless, but that's how that works. It's opening the door for full token interoperability on Hideera without fragmentation. But it won't allow you to just, swap ERC20 tokens on other networks on Hideera. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks for the explanation on ERC20. And that kind of leads us to this next question by Anan. So, what's the status with Axelr, and why do users need to contact Axelr team directly? Can you kind of explain what's going on with that situation?
Sure. Yeah. I know this one's been asked a lot. Again, from our last AMA, on our end, the Axelr integration is ready. The work is done. We're fully prepared to go live with native Squid Router support on SaucerSwap. That includes both the contract level integration and the front end side. And at this point, we're just waiting on final coordination from the Axelr team and from the other ecosystem leaders to bring Axelr online for Hideera. So when people are, asking about timelines, we often say in Discord, you'll have to ask the Axelr team. It's not a dodge. That's just the reality of where things are. We're fully aligned on wanting it to go live. The infrastructure is in place, and when the green light comes, we're ready. At this point, it looks like Layer 0 Stargate might actually ship before Axelar's Squid Router. that's part of the reason why we bumped ERC20 integration up the list. Again, it's our understanding that Stargate, Layer Zero's Stargate brings tokens over as ERC20, and we need to be ready to support that liquidity.
Thanks for the explanation, Peter. So, switching gears a little bit on tokenomics. This is actually from one of our long-standing community members, Celestial Being. They're wondering, is it possible for SaucerSwap to explore other revenue generation options, or is it too risky at this stage? For example, charging other apps a fee as they use the SaucerSwap tools and data. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we already are, but I want to clarify something that often gets misunderstood about revenue and project sustainability and all that. So revenue isn't something that goes to the team and sits idle in a wallet. It is how we fund development. Every dollar earned through the protocol is reinvested into SaucerSwap Labs. That goes into engineering, infrastructure, design, marketing, business development. It's how we scale the team. It's how we scale the product. It's how we maintain momentum across multiple different work streams. And some people have pointed to interface fees implemented on other protocols and ours and said, why is this necessary? And the honest answer is, if we did not generate revenue through actual usage, we would be forced to do what other projects do, which is inflate token supply and then sell into the market to pay for development. Development is not free. You need to fund it somehow. And we think that just inflating tokens and selling into the market is a less transparent model. So it's just a worse model for everyone involved. So our philosophy is to align protocol sustainability with actual usage of the product. So our thinking is that the more value that we create for everybody, for our users, through offering a valuable product and service, the more it enables us to reinvest and build faster. And that's the flywheel we're aiming to accelerate. As far as new revenue ideas go, obviously we're open to exploring more, but there's a balance between, doing that and sacrificing the UX. So it's a balance between long-term health of the protocol, development speed, and the user experience. So if it doesn't improve the product, we're not interested right now. There's we're not planning on bringing on new revenue streams through the product at this time.
Thanks for that, Peter. So this next question is a little bit more about cross-chain or multi-chain from Anan. Can you expand to the Sui chain? It would bring more volume and users. See, this was hacked. Show them how it's done the right way. I think you can hit big on Sui from Anan.
Yeah, so we've talked about our multi-chain strategy before. The future is multi-chain. SaucerSwap will go multi-chain. That said, we're not expanding to Sui or any other chain in 2025. That's just a fact. We're focused on building on Hideera right now. There's obviously a lot that we're working on, and multi-chain is just not happening this year. It will come later, but that phase isn't here yet.
Great. Still on the question of kind of other chains from Celestial Being, are we ready to take on other platforms like Uniswap and PancakeSwap? Can SaucerSwap handle the load if a wave of users gives on given the current setup?
Yeah, so actually we did some research into this in the last couple of weeks. And what we did was we queried every second of usage since, I think we looked back like 2 years, just to see like where the peak activity was. And it was honestly amazing to see this. Basically, the biggest insight is that our peak usage came earlier this year. And in a single second, SaucerSwap handled 207 trades. And just think about that, 207 trades in a single second. And users did not feel it.
that was our peak throughput moment. There was no lag, there was no timeout, nothing broke. And that is a big deal because if you remember the earlier days of the protocol, think back to like 2022, even parts of 2023, and around the turn of the year, I think from 2023 to 2024, if I'm not mistaken, there was like a wave of activity. Those were high usage periods, but they were lower usage than that peak moment that we had this year. And those would slow down the front end. Sometimes things would like, break entirely on the UI. That just doesn't happen anymore. I'm knocking on wood here, but we've done a lot of work in the last year, quietly scaling the infrastructure under the hood. Most of that is invisible to users, and honestly, that's how you know it worked. So when we talk about taking on platforms like PancakeSwap, we're not throwing rhetoric. We are building for that, and we're already seeing the results in terms of this usage and platform reliability. So SaucerSwap is built to scale, Hideera is built to scale, and that's why our North Star is to become the largest non-Ethereum DEX. That's not a marketing slogan. That is our real goal, and we believe that it's achievable. So that's what we're building towards.
Very exciting, Peter. I am so stoked for 2025. Next question is from Chris from Brisbane. The metrics on liquidity pools show a fairly significant drop in volume. Why is wrapped Bitcoin on Hideera or SaucerSwap not utilized, gaining traction? Huge opportunity.
Yeah, good question. Thanks, Chris. So actually, volume hasn't dropped. It's been trending upward overall. There are daily and weekly fluctuations. I know that right now we're in a local trough, but that's just the nature of DeFi. If you zoom out, you'll see a clear uptrend in volume. So I do want to gently push back just on the idea that usage is declining. We're seeing more interaction, more volume, not less. As for wrapped Bitcoin, you're absolutely right. It's underutilized right now. And that's one of the major problems that Hideera DeFi has right now. It's also one of the biggest opportunities, like you pointed out. And the main reason that we have this problem is that it's coming through Hashport. Hashport is great. It's valuable, but it's very niche. The user experience isn't as intuitive. It just doesn't have as many users. And the liquidity available for wrapped Bitcoin on Hideera is thin as a result. So to change that, we need broader bridge coverage. And that's why integrations with Layer 0 and Axelr will be meaningful. They'll bring in more volume, more tokens, more cross-chain liquidity. There will just be more opportunities for blue chip liquidity to be on Hideera, and that's super important. Once those are live, I think you'll see a substantial shift in how wrapped assets like Bitcoin are used on Hideera.
Very exciting times, Peter, and we're building that backend to allow that to happen. Short and sweet question from Anan. What did you get done this week?
Yeah, great question. So we have our developers post stand-ups every day, and we also get weekly updates. So I am just taking this straight from our weekly update. Current website, I'll just kind of rattle these off. Improved error messaging, admin infrastructure migration completed, prod and dev, Hideera Foundation logo updated. Mobile app, send flow now fully functional with USD token switching, receive flow scaffolding started, transaction confirmation screen implemented, ECDSA import plus transaction support working, number pad formatting, fee logic, and custom error handling added. ERC20 integration prototype deployed to testnet, to and from HTS plus ERC20 wrapper logic is live. Final UI polish and quoting logic in progress. Backend infrastructure, database migrations and cleanup, Athena to Aurora is completed. Just pausing there, that is a massive upgrade, Athena to Aurora. They're both AWS products, but like that used to take a team of engineers like a year to do something like that. And we just completed that last week. So that is huge for scalability and reliability. Moving on, default worker containerization started. Trade streaming socket for explore page live on dev. That one is part of a new feature for the explore page. It's actually not in the screenshot, but yeah, we'll share that when we get closer to launch. Really excited about that one. Should make everything feel more real time. And then the last item here is V1 pool volume calc bug fixed between Python and TypeScript implementations. So yeah, a lot of moving parts. Some of them are kind of more low-level technical. Some are more, immediately product oriented and user-facing. But real traction across every track. And again, all of those just came straight from our developers' weekly updates on Friday.
Nice. Building a lot of stuff. Full force. Next one is from Celestial Being. So this one's a pretty cute question. So Peter, how did you enjoy the food in Japan from a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah, I mostly convenience food between meetings. I'm here to work, not relax. Anyway, I am coming back to the States in 2 days. So yeah, I honestly forget I'm in another country sometimes because I'm just working on my computer all day in my apartment. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Very cool. If I ever go to Japan, I would love to eat food at Family Mart and 7-Eleven. That's my goal, maybe 2026. Alrighty, so thank you all for the questions for this AMA. Super bullish, super excited for 2025, building really hard. So this wouldn't be a SaucerSwap AMA without giving out a Dog Star Award. So for those new to the ecosystem, we at SaucerSwap give out Dog Star Awards to users in the community who help the SaucerSwap or the Hideera ecosystem promote and spread the word. So this month's Dog Star Award is awarded to Rafal. Thank you for your support on X and in our Discord. All of those posts have been really cool and supportive. So please submit a support ticket and we'll get you squared away. So Peter, any last words?
Yeah, no, thanks everyone for being here, for sticking with us. We know it hasn't been the easiest stretch. I really do appreciate all the questions, the feedback, even the tough questions. So yeah, we've got a lot to prove. We're focused on delivering, and we should have some more updates real soon. So thanks everyone, and yeah, talk soon.